What's good, YouTube? Crown Jewel from Crown Jewel Boxing. Back with the gym. Well, um, some of y'all gonna be surprised to hear this from me because it's no secret I'm a fan of Gervonta Tank Davis, but I'm extremely disappointed in him not showing up to the grand arrivals today. His coach Calvin at first showed for him, got up and said he was delayed. When further asked questions during the interview after leaving the stage, he kind of admitted what most people already knew if you pay attention to Gervonta Tank Davis' social media, in which he says he made a post that the promotion has been, quote, ass, and don't be surprised if he doesn't show up to the grand arrivals. Well, he didn't show up to the grand arrivals, and if he has problems with the promotion, in theory, he would be partially to blame because he is his own promoter, Gervonta Tank Davis Promotions. He decided to part ways with Mayweather Promotions, which means, he is now his own promotional entity. With that comes a whole lot of responsibility. I know, I've listened to like rappers like Nori and Jadakiss talk about how they like being signed to a major instead of independent because, the major does a lot of work that they didn't know was actually happening before they became independent. And I think that's the same thing with boxing. When you're signed to a promotional outfit, especially a major promoter, they do a lot of, the promotional work and marketing work that you don't see behind the scenes that, you kind of take on when you become your own promoter. And I guess, he's finding out that maybe that's not quite as easy as he thought. I still think the fight is going to do great numbers. I still think, it will be a sellout. I think the pay-per-view numbers will be decent too. But, again, in order to have those astronomical numbers, it's not just being a good fighter. It's not just putting two good fighters in the ring together. There's a lot of marketing work that goes along with that. And, I guess, he's not satisfied that those under him provided those services to his satisfaction at this point. But again, when you're the man, you decide to be your own promoter, the buck stops with you. So, I mean, like I said, I don't have a whole lot to say on this point. I think it was, classless. I think it was a little unprofessional and immature, to be honest, to not show up to the grand arrival today. Could there be something else going on and they just don't want to tell us? Maybe, but that doesn't point to, something positive either. So I just will hope that, Frank would, honor his obligations to not only the public, but the media as well, which ultimately will help him, continue to be the star that he's become in the game, just as fast. I see it in boxing over and over again. Just as fast as people love you, they can turn around and hate you. So, ask Adrian Boner about that. So, you got to be really careful about the moves you make in boxing. And like I said, to young fighters, this is a lesson for you guys. Make sure when you decide you want to be your own boss and when you go out on your own, make sure you're fully ready because there's a lot that comes with that. And sometimes when you have a promoter, they shield some of these imperfections or kind of wrong decisions that could be made on your part when they're out front. So a lot of times fighters' emotions, attitudes, their mental ups and downs don't really come into play oftentimes because there's usually a promotional outfit in between, that's a buffer between the fighter and the public or the media. But when you take that away and go out on your own, there is no buffer. So, we get every emotion of the fighter for the most part. And that can be both good and bad. But it is what it is. But like I said, I will say, even though I'm a huge Gervonta Tank Davis fan, I'm disappointed in him not making the grand arrivals today, and even more disappointed that he actually came out and put a social media post up saying that the promotion was ass and don't be surprised if he's not there, and then followed through and actually did not come. I feel bad for Coach Calvin, who's, again, trying to, I guess, come up with a genuine excuse as to why, and, eventually that fell apart. But, it's a shame because, the actions of the fighter a lot of times in boxing reflects on everybody, just like, everybody shares in their victories. You share in their shortcomings too, and not just in the ring, sometimes outside of the ring. And I think that put Coach Calvin in a tough position to be conducting them interviews and trying to justify or explain why his fighter did not show up to his media obligation today in the grand arrival. But, will that have any effect on the fight? Is that any indicator of Tank's mental going into the fight? I don't think so, because to be honest, most fighters, as a former fighter myself, most fighters coming out of camp are very irritable. You know what I mean? And, you know what I mean? It's not the most pleasant thing to do when you're cutting weight, making them last minute preparation. So, you know what I mean? And I would just hope that as a professional on his level, especially being as that he's his own promoter, that he will be able to master that a little better if that's the case. But that's all I have for y'all right now. Until next time, keep your hands up, your chin down, your ass off the floor. Peace.